These are all my thoughts and opinions based on information out in the public domain. Guys, share information with me, and please share, like, and subscribe, and join me on Getter. Getter is better than Twitter. At least we can have freedom of expression there, and we can have some fun. Download the app and come and join me. That'd be fun. Hello, my gorgeous people. There's nothing wrong with rules, and I'm going to tell you why rules are important. We all know that. Otherwise, we would have complete chaos, anarchy, crimes, abuses, and everything. Rules are important. Now, I wanted to talk because I saw the article about Harry and Meghan Markle's charity. Now, this is something that is very important for you to understand. There was no crime committed by the Royal Foundation when they, in good faith, transfer money to Sussex Royal, right? Remember the now defunct Sussex Royal, because they were told that that money was going to be used to set up a charity in the United Kingdom. So in good faith, the Royal Foundation transferred that money to Sussex Royal. Up to that point, everything was okay. Now, the crime is committed when the organization or charity receiving that money uses that money for purposes other than the ones they claim they were going to use it for in order to get those funds. It's called fraud. Now, we know that there were about a little bit over $380,000 transferred to Sussex Royal. They declared that about over $55,000, a little bit over $55,000 were used in shutting down the charity. So they basically requested money for the Sussex Royal charity, and instead of using that money by the Sussex Royals to fund charities, they used part of the money to close it down, and then Harry, if we're to believe, and Meghan, transfer the remainder of the money to Travelist. Now, that is illegal. That is fraud, because Travelist, and what is even more illegal is the fact that Harry and Meghan stated that they were transferring that money to a not-for-profit organization. And Travelist, to this day, up to this morning, 11:54, it was a private for-profit company owned, in its majority, by Harry. So they lied about that. They lied. That is fraud. Now, where is that money? On top of that, they only raised $50,000, a little bit less than $50,000. And let me tell you something. This is what they reported. We don't know if that is true. I don't know if for tax purposes they reported that they only managed to raise, because it's unclear from what I have read that whether it is what money they had left over after claiming all their expenses, or if that's the money in total that was raised. That's a very good question to ask. So far, I don't have any answer to that. But if any of you know about that, please let me know. Because it is only reported that they only raised $50,000. But is that after having paid for all their expenses that they claim? Or is it before? Because, that they have to pay for expenses. They have to. I mean, the charity doesn't run itself in air. They have to pay for everything. And Harry and Meghan like to charge everything to the charity. For example, when Harry flew to Colorado for that thing, it was a charity trip, and I think he charged it to the charities that have to pay, because they have to pay for these things. So I'm asking you guys to help me find out whether the $50,000 is before they claim the expenses, or it's what's left over after they paid all the expenses. Now, before I continue, please like, share, and subscribe, guys. And I'm also, please now, go to Getter. I'm going to leave the link. And whatever you do, also Go to Truly. You can ask me questions and I can answer them in 30 seconds videos. So go to Truly. I will leave everything, all how you can do it in the description of this video. Okay, so go to Getter, sign up there. It's free speech. And go to Truly, follow the instructions at the box, and you can ask me any questions and I will answer you in 30-second video. Pidina is there too. Pidina, whichever you want to call it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that part of that is a crime. Now, I don't understand why the Charities Commission is not investigating that, because there's two lies there. One, that when they requested the money and the money was transferred in good faith for a specific use, because that is the purpose of the transfer. And whenever it's charity money, the money cannot be used for anything other than what it's claimed to be used. Because if you use it for something else, it's considered fraud. Now, some people have said, well, they can always repay the money. It's not about repaying the money. It's not about repaying the money, okay? Because the point is that they stole it, or they did a criminal act to begin with. So the fact that they put them, it's like if somebody steals money in a bank, and then he gets caught and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to put it back. No, you stole it. You committed a criminal act, and therefore you have to go to jail, even if you say, I'm going to give it back, but you already committed the crime. So that's the same thing for Harry and Meghan Markle. Where are the $330,000? That are unanswered for, because Travelist is not a not-for-profit organization. It is a private company owned by Harry. So where is that money? And the $50,000 that they raised, is it before expenses or after expenses? Because they have to claim expenses for the running of their Archwell thing. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of you have hit really hard at me for criticizing. Let me tell you something. If Harry, you know why Meghan's claim that she was married, they were married 3 days prior, and the spectacle that happened 3 days later, it was just that, a spectacle. You know why it was such a serious statement? For two reasons. One, because in England, you cannot get married twice. Unless there was unless there was for example, unless according to the Marriages Act, you didn't follow, for example, instead of having 2 witnesses, you had 1 witness. You know what I mean? And therefore that marriage is not valid, because the Marriages Act in the United Kingdom dictates very specifically the venues that you can get married, the regulations for the marriage, that you need 2 witnesses. It tells you the rules, right? So if none of those rules had been followed and the marriage carried through, then that is null and void. And then therefore they have grounds to marry if there was something wrong, an oversight or whatever. But her saying that, so, and 2, because according to the law in the United Kingdom, all royals who wish to remain in the succession line or to succeed to the throne or whatever, have to be married by the Church of England. Otherwise, they are disqualified from the line of succession. So if it is true that Meghan Markle and Harry married 3 days prior, not in the Church of England and not in a church wedding, then they are disqualified from being in the succession line along with their children. Because civil marriages are not recognized according to the law in England for royals, because any royal in the succession line has a possibility to succeed the throne for whatever reasons, and they are the ones who represent the Church of England. Even Sarah Tyndall, she got married. People ask, why don't they just have a nice civil wedding? Because if they do, they disqualify themselves from being in the line of succession in their children, if they are under age of 18 years of age. Now, up to 2013, when they amended the Succession Act in 2013, Prince Michael of Kent, most of you know who he is. Prince Michael of Kent married the current Princess Michael of Kent, but they married in a Catholic wedding, and that was not recognized by 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 the Church of England. Catholics were not recognized. Only English, only the Church of England could marriages carried out by the Church of England were recognized. So up until 2013, Prince Michael of Kent's children were not in the line of succession because he was married in a Catholic church, and his children were baptized Catholic. His wife was Catholic. So none of the children were recognized, and his marriage was not really recognized in the church according to the Succession Act prior to 2013. When they amended the rules allowing Catholics and recognizing people who married in Catholic churches or whatever, then his children were included in the line of succession. When Prince Michael of Kent married his wife, he was aware that if he married her in a Catholic church wedding, he would be disqualifying himself and his children from being in the line of succession. It's not that they were penalizing him or it was terrible, no, but it's just the way it is. And let me give you another example. I have a very good friend of mine. She used to be a nun for the Catholic Church for many years. I mean, completely devout. The problem is that if you're a nun, you cannot marry, you cannot have children, you're not supposed to be having sex, you know what I mean? So she decided after many years of being a nun I think she started being a nun when she was 17, and when I met her, she was like 38. She was working a lot with children, and she decided that she wanted to have children of her own. So she left the Catholic Church. She quit being a nun. She's now happily married and has 2 children. But what I'm saying is, like, the rules are, if you want to be a Catholic priest, you have to be celibate. The Church of England doesn't request that of their priests. You know what I mean? But there are rules. So if you want to be a Catholic priest, you have to be celibate. You know what I'm trying to get at? And this is why when I talked about Prince Charles yesterday, and I said, Prince Charles has disqualified himself from being in the line of succession and succeeding the throne. Because, one, his wife was married in a church wedding, recognized now as the Succession Act of 2013, which recognized the validity of marriages under the Catholic Church. Therefore, Camilla is rightfully married to Parker Bowles still as per the church rules, Catholic Church rules. So Prince Charles disqualified himself as per the rules. Why are people so offended? The rules are for everybody there. If we're going to criticize Meghan and Harry, we should criticize also Prince Charles, because the issue that we have terrible royals, most of them are terrible, is because they have been allowed to break the rules, break the laws, just like Prince Harry right now and Meghan. Charities Commission, knowing all the irregularities, they now know for real that Harry committed fraud because he did not use the money for the purposes that he said he was going to use them when he requested the transfer money from the Royal Foundation. They carried out the investigation and then they concluded, yeah, it's kind of shady, but we're going to leave it like that. Why? Because they're allowing them to act and continue to behave with impunity. Now, Prince Charles' wedding is not valid because as the law stands, it is valid, but it disqualifies him from being in the succession line or ascending the throne. Because, as I said, Catholic Church weddings are now recognized with the amendment of the Succession Act of 2013. So there were only 2 ways for his marriage, for him to be married to Camilla, which allows him to succeed the throne, which is 1, that Mr. Parker Bowles died at the time that they got married, or 2, that before they got married, Camilla applied for an annulment from the Catholic Church, which takes years. But those were the only those 2 were the only options that would allow Prince Charles to marry Camilla and still be lawfully in the line of succession and able to succeed the throne. It's not hatred, it's the fact, it's the law. This is why the Lords in the House of Lords were saying, he can't marry her, but he disqualifies that. And Tony Blair did not have the balls to basically enforce the law. You know, now, even if Andrew Parker Bowles dies, even if Andrew Parker Bowles dies, the marriage as it happened, he cannot be remarried again because he has already been married in a civil ceremony. And if any priest marries him now in church, it is breaking the law. It's just as illegal as when the archbishop was asked about Harry and Meghan's wedding, saying, "Oh, is it true that you married him 3 days before?" And he said, "No, because if I did marry them 3 days before and then I married them later on, I would be committing a criminal act." Okay, so it's not hatred, and I am a monarchist. I don't know about you guys, but don't you want an institution that represents you? I don't have a choice because Canada is part of the Commonwealth. I don't have a choice. The monarchy, the head of the monarchy represents Canada. Her face is in our bills. You know what I mean? So I want the people who represent me. I want to be proud of the people who represent me. I'm not proud that Charles is allowed to break so many rules. I'm not proud of what's happening with Prince Andrew. The York girls, they're terrible. Sarah Ferguson, fucking hell. You know, I want to be proud of the monarchy. And the fact that the standards have been allowed to get so low. This is why we have people like Meghan Markle. This is why we have people like Sarah Ferguson. This is why. And the problem is that they are allowed to do everything they want, because I can tell you one thing. I am pretty sure that Prince Andrew was warned about, what's his name, Epstein. But nobody tells them what to do. Nobody tells them. Why do you think Meghan was able to bully her staff? And why do you think the royal family are trying to bury that now and not talk about it? If you think about it, there's not very much talk about all the bullying they did because nobody tells them what to do. Now it's become offensive that they are held, that they have to respect the protocols, that they don't apply to them. It does apply to them. And the stick that holds the royal accountable is Parliament, and they're failing the people. Because, you know, it's like a child. If the way you raise your children, you know, you try to give them an education. You know, there are consequences for everything we do in life. Even when we go out, you know, if I wear another shirt, everything in life has consequences. Why it's so wrong that we hold our royals accountable? The people who, you know, it's not like an elected politician that you can go, okay, you know what, I helped elected you, and then you turn out to be a crook, you know, we can take you to court or whatever, and then we can, in the next election, you're out. We're stuck with them for a while unless we speak out. Now we have more of a platform to speak out. So go to their accounts and ask them to remove Harry from the royal website. Why is Harry still in the royal website? Why? I ask you, why is he still on the royal website? And if you come back at me and say, oh, it's because he's an advisor of the state. Not according to the law in the UK. He can only be an advisor of the state if he's residing in the United Kingdom. So if the royal family are keeping Harry an advisor of the state by having them in that website and falsely reporting that he's still residing in the United Kingdom, then please use, you know, go to their platforms, go to their Instagram, go to their Twitter accounts, and tell them, you know what? You can't do that. He doesn't live here anymore. Remove him. Ban him from using his royal titles except for royal and official engagements. That way, neither him nor Meghan will be able to use him, because if Harry can't use it, by extension, Meghan can't. Do you know what I mean? So it's not hatred. I'm not being an anti-monarchist, but it is the law. This is why what Meghan Markle said was so important. When she said, oh, we got married 3 days before. And it's like, wait a minute, you can't do that. If you got married and you didn't get married in a church wedding, you disqualify yourself from being in the line of succession and your children. You know what I mean? Now, Prince Charles, when he married Camilla, he disqualified himself under those circumstances by the way he married her. Instead of waiting or doing the right thing, he married her and he knew what the law was. But that doesn't mean because Prince William was already over 18 years of age, his disqualification did not apply to William. You know what I mean? So the correct thing for him to have done was, okay, you know what? But I still want to marry Camilla. I know that if I marry her right now, under these circumstances, I can no longer be king. But that's okay because I want to be with her. So I am going to sign. And what they do is they make you sign a letter of abdication, just like they did with Prince Edward, King Edward VIII, you know. He had to sign a letter of abdication. You know what? You cannot marry Wallis Simpson because the law does not allow it. There has to be higher standards to the royals because the privilege is so much, and it's a life thing. It is really hard to get rid of them, you know, and it's becoming harder and harder because the members in parliament are not doing their job and holding the royals accountable. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. We can have difference of opinions. It's not hatred. It's, I want to be proud of the monarchy. And it's really hard to be proud of the royal family representing the monarchy at the moment with at least quite a few members, So let me know what you think. Go to Getter, sign up, please follow, and also like, share, and subscribe, and go to the video description and join in Truly. You can ask me any questions and I will answer with 30-second videos, guys. I think it's going to get extended to more. It's a lot of fun. You have a great night, and thank you once again for joining me. I know I sound like Speedy Gonzalez. Many of you have complained about my accent, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry about that. So you have a good night, and give me your comments. What do you think? Do you think that Meghan Markle and Harry should pay back the money that they should be charged according to the Charities Commission Charities Act? They have committed fraud. It is not about paying back the money. Now, the $3 million that they were talking about, the problem that I have is the following. That they had the CEO of Disney in one of the red carpet events saying that he had given that money to Harry. And then later on, and that was, you guys remember that? That was when he did interviews. They were doing the red carpet, where he says, oh yeah, I gave Prince Harry $3 million to donate to the... So he said in that very public interview that he gave that money to Harry. And yet, months later, Disney had to give the foundation, the Elephant Foundation, $3 million. And the Elephant Foundation didn't thank Harry. They thanked Disney. So I don't know what it is. Some people have said to me that, oh, Harry gave it back, or that was a mistake, and it was that Disney was going to donate it on behalf of Harry. Then why didn't the Elephant Foundation thank Harry? Because ultimately it was because Harry and Meghan, because of Meghan's work, they got that. And they were never thanked. So what do you guys think? Leave me your comments. And don't forget to follow.